Already 8 minutes going down after the 8 o'clock on a beautiful Monday morning. Dominica, this is the Heng for the 5th day of July 2021. As you will probably realize by now, Captain in Chief is not in the cockpit. Second in command, Joe Thomas, is on the console. The Heng is brought to you with the very kind compliments of the folks at Flo Dominica, Busy Bobble, Best Price, Order Trade, and Bell's Farm Eggs.
Mommy not there to help you though. Well, pam pam. Daddy, you dirty your clothes again. And mommy not there to help you though. Well, pam pam. Daddy, dirty his clothes.
Easy breezy, busy bubble, laundry service on the hustle, washing, drying, folding service, washing comfort cause it's worth it. Kiddies own cribs and toys, come on daddy, bring the boys. Dirty stains from wine and malts, come on man, it's not your fault. Busy Bubble.
Visit our new location on the Castle Comfort Highway next to the Cicero Hotel. Busy Bubble Laundry, taking the busy out of your day.
Calling all Flo prepaid customers. Flo's new value-loaded, always-on prepaid plans means great news for you. Get unlimited talk, up to 50% more data, and more international minutes to keep you always connected. Try our 7-day always-on plan today and get 8 gigabytes of data and 500 local and international minutes for only $30. Dial *129# now to activate a plan or visit discoverflow.co for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you looking for good eggs? I mean quality fresh eggs straight from the farm? Well, we have exactly what you're looking for, no matter the quantity. We've got the right amount. Visit us at Prince City downstairs Kyrie FM on Independence Street for your fresh farm eggs, or call telephone 448-7331, 448-7330 or 448-8752. And we'll get you your fresh farm eggs.
I'm not exaggerating, boiling with excitement.
Secure your valuables and important documents, including medical documents, passports, and personal identification. Wrap in waterproof bags or containers to keep them safe in the event of leaks or flooding during a passage of a storm. A message from Best Price, where you save a lot on hurricane season essentials.
Auto Trade introduces our newest line of lubricants, Valvoline, America's first branded motor oil. Valvoline has been formulating and improving motor oil longer than any other brand. From the world's first racing oil to the world's first synthetic blend, Valvoline has been trusted in engines around the world for over 150 years. Make the switch today. Choose Valvoline, the original motor oil. At Auto Trade, we only recommend the best in quality, because at Auto Trade, it's more than a vehicle. It's a relationship. Valvoline Lubricants, now distributed by Auto Trade.
Minutes going down after 8 o'clock, a beautiful Monday morning here. It's the 5th day of July 2021 and coming off a very nice weekend, despite the fact that we had a scare. Is that a scare? We were
we were on the tropical storm warning.
Storm, and then it elevated to a hurricane warning, I think.
Well, we were never on the hurricane warning. We were on the tropical storm
warning over the weekend. And I almost said Val. Brain, coming through this, a very beautiful Monday morning.
Yes, not only that, Elsa was the name of the hurricane. It was a minimum hurricane of winds about 70, 75 miles, 85 miles, gusting higher. But it gave St. Lucia a lash, the agricultural sector. The Prime Minister reported that there was damage up to the tune of $35 million. Mm-hmm. So that was a significant damage to the agricultural sector.
Certainly,
I did not hear any reports coming out from Barbados, but I knew Barbados lost quite a number of roofs. I know I saw the National Stadium in Grenada. There was flood water around that, but they were still able to play the 2020.
Yeah, that final 2020, which they lost.
Which we lost. But by and large, the storm is now heading to Cuba. Mm-hmm. So I do not know what the damage will
Any
be.
reports just yet from Dominica as to the intensity of the weather system?
Well, I didn't see any. I did not hear any reports in terms of any assessment in relation to the storm. I heard nothing, but I guess we'll hear later on today as to whether there was any significant damage or whether any landslide. I did see a video of the road in Dubik. I think the road in Dubik suffered some damages. But I haven't heard any official report from the Ministry of Public Works. So I don't want to make comments. I just want to wait for those reports.
Is it fair to assume, or is it logical to assume that we were spared and things went relatively well?
Yes, very, very well. But we have to learn from our lessons. The kind of roadblocks that I saw, and we have to thank God, Joe Thomas, because the vehicles were passing by in my street, Stieber Street and Porter Street on the E.O. Libla Highway. And boy, that was a tremendous roadblock. Personally,
in terms of
traffic, man, not being able to flow.
Oh, because people were rushing at the very last minute. Is that what you're saying?
For fuel, and there seemed to have been a bottleneck under the cliff. And I would like us to learn from that lesson.
Yes, when we hear of these impending systems, as a matter of fact, we don't have to wait until a system is upon us. All know so. I mean, we have a couple extra dollars. You full up a couple extra cans or drums of fuel, for instance, for your vehicle.
Well, you really cannot store those things at your home as such.
Yes.
But what I would suggest is that if you know there is a pending storm, the day before, you fill
probably
up.
2 days before.
You fill up.
You fill up.
You fill up your tank. You fill your tank up, and that during the week or whatever, you make sure that you have all your dry goods. They warn you all the time. Have your dry goods. Have your water, so you don't have to rush to the supermarket. You always have items at your home, so you can survive for at least a week after the storm. Because you don't know how significant the damage will be. So, no, I'm saying that we have to learn from our lessons. I don't think we are learning enough as a school teacher. We do the evaluation after the storm, but the storm is supposed to teach us new things, and we're supposed to be able to look at where we are not doing well and where we can do better, or where we are doing well and we need to improve upon. So, I mean, all these are lessons for us because we're still in the hurricane season. As you know, it begins in June and ends sometime is in November.
We just started.
And the storm was a very early storm for July. You know what I mean? And it still was able to reach wind speed of 75 to 85 miles an hour.
So Dominicans, the lesson here is, Brain, that we should not wait until the very last minute. We should be stocking up periodically. Do a little item here, do a little item there. The dry goods, for instance, that you speak about, we should, always be topping up, as they say. And we can probably leave the last things, or some of the last things, as you said, you do not want to stock up too much on gasoline, for instance, because that can be a hazard. But at least you would have sufficient in your storeroom. So because these storms can be rapid and they can change course at any minute. So you hear of a storm, for instance, that is off the Atlantic coast, and it is 3 days away. Then you hear it's 2 days away. By the time you hear it's 1 day away or 2 days away, you should have sufficient stock in your artery that you can rely on, and you don't have to be rushing out, at the very last minute to get stuff going.
And this storm was traveling very quickly.
Very quickly.
27, 28, 29, 30 miles an hour. That was moving very quickly. Over the coast of Cuba, it's moving at about 14 to 15 miles an hour. So those things are moving quickly, and they intensify rapidly, because that was at 45 miles. And what the next time I heard was 80-something miles, 75 to 80 miles. So it intensified very quickly out of Barbados. And the same thing happened to Maria, because when I was listening to Maria, it was a Category 2 hurricane. And by the time I heard the news again, it was a Category 5.
Right.
So these things can intensify rapidly upon you. So you have to always be in a state of readiness. So the lessons for us is for us to go forward and evaluate what we did well and what we didn't do well, and do improvements along the way.
Brain, I don't know if you got the chance to listen or to view the Prime Minister's Anupali last night. Very informative discussion. And we just want to inform our listeners that about 9 o'clock this morning we shall be playing or replaying yesterday's entire program. That is from about 9 o'clock this morning, because I didn't get to listen or to view all of it. And it would be a very good thing that it has been repeated, because they're very informative discussion, and would like, of course, our listeners to get a chance to listen in, those who didn't have the opportunity to listen in or to view the Prime Minister's Anupali program last night.
Well, I listened to it, and I also listened to the statement from the Financial Secretary. And I was rather shocked when I heard the Financial Secretary say that salaries will not be stopped in terms of the cap that the Mr. Leta got frightened
Leta have missed that? How could he have missed that? I mean, Mr. Leta, yes, all the executive members around. Why is it that Mr. Leta missed that bit of information?
He didn't miss it. Mr. Leta is a very intelligent man. He's a very experienced man. He's been in the union for a very long time. And I'm not going to sit here for all the experts telling me that Mr. Leta did not read it properly.
Are you saying he was deliberate?
I'm saying that he was deliberate, because he's not a rookie.
Yes.
He's not a just come. Right? He knows very well.
He's not a novice.
He's not a novice. If he's not clear about certain things, he have friends in the public service.
Or at least he can call up government ministers or the government machine to find out exactly what's going on.
Well, we call it the technocrats. He can call the technocrats. He has done public administration. He calls the technocrats to ask questions of them as to what is this all about? How will it affect the civil service? How does it affect the civil servant?
So what was he trying then?
He was,
to use a local term, what was it? What he trying?
He was attempting to destabilize the government. And I find that we are too hypocrite in the country. We don't like to call a spade a spade. The man was on a crusade to destabilize the government. And he's still on that crusade. He needs to be watched. We need to pay a lot of attention to Mr. Leta all the time, because he is trying to cause government to dysfunction. And you heard the utterances of Brian Linton as he speak to the issue at hand. He told us that Mr. Leta was being depended upon to bring his people outside of Parliament. That did not happen. Because he told us it did not happen because Mr. Leta got his wish. The bill was suspended. So why are you working so closely with the opposition? Why?
It was well, not a fait accompli, but there was some collision of efforts to, as you say, to destabilize the government's machinery.
Because Mr. Linton told us, Brian, that they work closely with him.
Yes.
And Mr. Leta, now you get your thing. Now you get. He was agitated, and now you get your thing, and you leave us alone. Yes. And now that's how you is.
He didn't have any respect. At least you should have called
us and tell us.
Call the leader of the opposition to tell him and whatever it is and so on. So you're right, Brain. You're very right.
He exposed it. He exposed Mr. Leta. If I was Mr. Leta, I would not like to work with Mr. Brian Linton again. He put the secret outside. There was a clear indication that the United Workers' Party and Mr. Leta, they're in bed together. It's clear.
Well, it's not only now. They've been in bed together for a very long time. But that last incident there clearly exposed the whole the situation. The plot. Clearly exposed the plot. That the public service or the United Workers' Party was in bed with the public service, hoping to destabilize
the government
machinery.
Put them out. Let's go out. Let's go out. Let's fast men come out.
Yes. Let's make a trouble. Let's make
a war. Now's the time.
And the Prime Minister Roosevelt carried boldly googly on them.
Outside the office, swinging.
Outside the office. No, coming back, man. These fellas couldn't read that. Coming back, and they were caught stranded.
They were driving, Joe? What would you say?
No, they were not driving. Bat and Pat very close together, but even then, the ball was still able to sneak through and take the off stump.
My goodness me.
You know what I mean?
But what a ball. And
what are they and they're still not learning.
And they're still not learning, but look, some fellas. Another strange bet. But you have some strange bedfellows now, in the whole conspiracy.
You call them strange bedfellows?
You have another man on the other side there again. The rattlesnake. The rattlesnake, Rodney. He in bed too,
Yeah, well, all of them in bed. Is a fait accompli.
Yes.
All these fellas are looking for is just to destabilize the country, to wage up a war, to incite people to violence, to incite people to civil disobedience. You know what I mean? You mean to tell me big men like that, you have a paper in front of you. I that don't have glasses and have problems with my eye reading the paper. You that have glasses, you have good eyesight, you have 20/20 vision, you can't see what on it. And you're in this business so long you cannot see and comprehend what is on the piece of paper.
Right.
You're telling me that government looking to cap salaries at 2% for public service for the next 40 years? Wicked, you wicked? Huh?
But it's true.
Wicked and very, very evil, according to Rivanica.
And I heard the financial secretary explain that quite eloquently.
But if the financial secretary was able to explain it so eloquently, don't you think that Mr. Later was able to read it properly? The dirty tricks department. Well, you can't come with that anymore. People reading through all.
People reading through.
Oh, yeah, people reading through all.
Man, it's something else.
And Brian Linton came and he exposed the plot. Was very hostile.
Hostile to
Mr. Later. Very, very hostile. Or you just leave us stranded.
You just
when we want your support, when we want your support, we're not getting it. When we have to give you support, we're giving it to you.
All out. 100%. We're going flat out for you. We're going flat out for you, Mr. Later. And you're not delivering the goods to us today. Now is the time you must move.
I cannot understand that. It is 8:26 in the morning time. Brain, let's take a short break here. A word from our sponsors.
Yes, let's go.
And we'll be back for discussion in just a minute.
Customers, Flow's new value-loaded, always-on prepaid plans means great news for you. Get unlimited talk, up to 50% more data, and more international minutes to keep you always connected. Try our 7-day always-on plan today and get 8 gigabytes of data and 500 local and international minutes for only $30. Dial *129# now to activate a plan or visit discoverflow.co for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
Daddy, you dirty your clothes again, and mommy not there to help you though. Well, bam, bam, daddy dirty his clothes.
Easy breezy, busy bubble, laundry service on the hustle, washing, drying, folding service, washing comfort cause it's worth it. Kiddies own cribs and toys, come on daddy, bring the bag. Dirty stains from wine and malts, come on man, it's not your fault. Busy bubble.
Visit our new location on the Castle Comfort Highway next to the Cicero Hotel. Busy Bubble Laundry, taking the busy out of your day.
Auto Trade introduces our newest line of lubricants, Valvoline, America's first branded motor oil. Valvoline has been formulating and improving motor oil longer than any other brand. From the world's first racing oil to the world's first synthetic blend, Valvoline has been trusted in engines around the world for over 150 years. Make the switch today. Choose Valvoline, the original motor oil. At Auto Trade, we only recommend the best in quality because at Auto Trade, it's more than a vehicle. It's a relationship. Valvoline Lubricants, now distributed by Auto Trade.
Are you looking for good eggs? I mean quality fresh eggs straight from the farm? Well, we have exactly what you're looking for, no matter the quantity. We've got the right amount. Visit us at Prince City downstairs Kyrie FM on Independence Street for your fresh farm eggs, or call telephone 448-7331, 448-7330 or 448-8752. and we'll get you your fresh farm eggs.
I'm not exaggerating. Boiling with excitement.
Daddy, daddy, you dirty your clothes again. And mommy not there to help you though. Well, pam, pam, daddy dirty his clothes.
Easy breezy, busy bubble. Laundry service on the hustle. Washing, drying, folding service. Washing comfort cause it's worth it. Kiddies own, cribs and toys. Come on, daddy, bring the bag. Dirty stains from wine and malts. Come on, man, it's not your fault. Busy bubble.
Visit our new location on the Castle Comfort Highway next to the Cicero Hotel. Busy Bubble Laundry, taking the busy out of your day.
Win $15,000 in cash and prizes with Flow Bingo. It's easy to play. Just top up $15 or more. Activate any prepaid combo plan. Sign up for a new postpaid plan or bundle, and you could be saying bingo. Game days are May 14th and 28th and June 11th and 30th. It's fun and easy to play bingo with Flow. So top up, activate, or sign up today for your chance to win with Flow Bingo. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends June 30th, 2021.
Auto Trade introduces our newest line of lubricants, Valvoline, America's first branded motor oil. Valvoline has been formulating and improving motor oil longer than any other brand. From the world's first racing oil to the world's first synthetic blend, Valvoline has been trusted in engines around the world for over 150 years. Make the switch today. Choose Valvoline, the original motor oil. At Auto Trade, we only recommend the best in quality because at Auto Trade, it's more than a vehicle. It's a relationship. Valvoline Lubricants, now distributed by Auto Trade.
Secure your valuables and important documents, including medical documents, passports, and personal identification. Wrap in waterproof bags or containers to keep them safe in the event of leaks or flooding during a passage of a storm. A message from Best Price, where you save a lot on hurricane season essentials.
It is 8:33 in the morning time. Yes, I am late. Thank you for holding on, gentlemen. It's a total miscalculation on my part this morning. I forgot there was no school. So in haste, I had to make alternate arrangements this morning and caused me to be a little late. But if I'm late, whether I'm late or not, you guys can hold the fort and get things going. And I'm very happy with the discussion so far and what you have been talking about, because that is exactly my intention for this morning, to deal with this. Because we heard last night the financial secretary on with Prime Minister Skerritt on the Anu Pali program. We heard the financial secretary explain in detail what were the objectives of the fiscal responsibility framework. This was a measure that was intended to go before Parliament last week. Okay? At the 7th meeting of the first session of the 10th Parliament. The thing had been on the order paper. It was sent out. Suddenly, I do not know what happened, but on the morning of Parliament, suddenly a man say he read the act and the act was going to do this and going to do that. Where in the act did Mr. Leta and company see that it was going to cap salaries? We are in the middle of a reclassification exercise of the public service. The reclassification exercise in the public service will definitely lead to increases in salaries. We are in the middle of where new positions are being created in nursing, new positions are being created in teaching. This will lead to increase in salaries. So where on earth did the political leader of the Dominica Public Service Union, Thomas Leta, see, read, or was told that this is what was happening? And I had a chance to read some letter he wrote, either to the Prime Minister or the Cabinet Secretary. And you could see the tone of the letter and the words that were being used. That was not Thomas Leta. Once you read the letter, you see where the words that were being used were coming from. And then you heard, what's his name?
Brandon.
Anyway, I probably will. Yes, somebody told me I should repeat the cocaine tips this morning, that you should not use cocaine. But anyway, we were saying Brian Linton, yes.
Yeah, Brian Linton, yes.
You were saying, you heard the man come, oh, you abandoned us.
You abandoned us.
He exposed the plot.
Somebody can only abandon you if they were with you to begin with.
He exposed the plot.
Well, Vex. Oh, next time, don't call us. We don't go look waiting for you. You were supposed to do this. You were supposed to do that. You couldn't even call us and tell us you're not doing it again. That is how we come.
Right. And give me you know. When you get what you want, you forget.
Real domestic issue. That is not gentleman and you know, organization to organization comments. Those were domestic comments. Yeah. Next time they call me, you couldn't call so and so to tell him thank. That is not how organizations behave. That was domestic brotherly arguments.
But I heard that in a song before. If I give you, will you remember me tomorrow?
So those guys are there, and any little thing, they're waiting for it. They're looking for it. But I want to invite Mr. Leta to come here and set the record clear from his end. Come, Mr. Leta, from tomorrow, the chair is open for you to come and sit down. Let's have a conversation and let us talk about the fiscal responsibilities framework. You heard from the FS. You've heard from the Prime Minister. You've heard from other people. Come.
Well, you are inviting him. But if Mr. Leta comes here, I will not be sitting with him.
That's your thing.
You and Mr.
prerogative.
Later would have to do all your business, and Joe T. The brain will not be with him.
But brain,
I am not going to
This
be.
is a democratic.
I am not
democratic
going to
country.
sit with a hypocrite.
This is a democratic.
So you will have
country.
your business
No,
with Mr.
I
Later.
and I respect your decision.
I am not coming. If you tell me
After the show, I'll talk to you.
If you talk to me and you tell me Mr. Thomas Later is going to be here tomorrow morning, I am not coming. I'm telling you
when
straight
you
off
reach,
the
you'll
bat.
see him.
If I see him,
I don't know. I'm throwing out the challenge to him
if
now.
I see him,
but Brent,
I going out.
You can ask him questions.
No, I don't want to ask him questions because he could have asked questions before he made those utterances. I am not going to sit down with a hypocrite. Not at all. Not the brain. I'm not going to reduce my professionalism to the lowest ebb. No, I'm not accepting Mr. Later tomorrow. If Mr. Later come, he on his own.
Or any other time?
Or any other time. Not this time, not today, not tomorrow, never. I'm telling all you fellas straight. I'm putting it on the record now.
But why is it you are so anti? Are you a very anti Mr. Later?
I'm not anti Mr. Later. But Mr. Later has misled the nation on a number of occasions.
Look, the brain has spoken on experience. The brain is not speaking just because he doesn't want to sit with Thomas Later. The same way, the day anybody whatsoever, and probably I still have control, but the day somebody tell me Randy Rodney is coming here is the day I will not show up.
You serious?
I will not sit in any room with Randy Rodney.
I would love to sit.
Well, that is a matter for you. But I will not sit.
I can tell you.
Look, let me tell you how much my stance. Partner, you like your cricket reference everything.
That's you and
Partner,
Rodney.
that's you. The decision I've taken so far is, if there is a funeral, and it is at the church up there, that building up there, and Randy is the officiant or whatever they call it, my paka wait.
But he's the pastor of the church. Who you expect
I will go and sympathize with the family. I will speak to them. Bele lotema kumase moe Daryl Kali. And I respect, although I still invite Mr. Later to come, I respect the position of the brain.
Yes, that's my position.
I respect the position.
Well, the brain has made
brain.
his position.
Fellas
very
walking
clear.
out of parliament for things they create. The brain can take a principal position.
I am walking out.
He's not
I am
sitting
walking out.
with
I'm not
Thomas
sitting
Later.
with Thomas Later.
But the invitation to Mr. Later is brain and I will resolve our thing after. That's how we are.
As long as he's there.
Yes.
When he come out from the studio, I can come and comment. But whilst he there, brain not there.
But it's an opportunity, brain, for you to leather the man.
No, I'm not staying with him.
On the local line, good morning. On the local line, good morning. Not ready for us yet. Okay?
No. Two fellas I'm not sitting down with. Later and Rattlestick Rodney. I'm taking a position. Or you can sit down, or you can have all your juice. That's all. Those two fellas, I don't want to see them at all.
On the local line, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Brain, I give you that not even 100. 1 million, even more. Support. I agree with you. I agree with you. Because there's nothing you can tell the devil. Nothing the Father can tell the devil for the devil to change. The devil is always the devil. It makes no sense to sit with the devil. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
You know, but the brains. I myself, I invite Later here, so he can come and come and talk to us about the bill because he took a position. Come sit here and tell us why you took that position. You represent
public officers.
Okay, you represent them. There are thousands of public officers who your union represents, and how much is dues a month?
I don't know. But but not only that, Mr. Thomas Later seemed to be operating as a dictator. He's accusing people of being a dictator. But he's 20 years, 20 years.
We'll talk about that in a second. On the local line, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Our lawyer Rich. We're not fighting.
We're not fighting, man. Principal position, we respect each other's opinion.
Okay, first thing, how did the weather treat you all on Friday?
Very well. Very okay. I fared it out very nicely.
Okay. Well, good to hear that. No.
You okay? Everything was okay at your end, right?
Excuse me?
Everything was okay at your end. It didn't cause you any... okay,
yes,
good.
yes. Just a little wind, yes. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, I agree with Brain in a sense. Let us go to biblical facts. The Bible, the Word of God, God Himself tell us, if somebody is not for you, they are against you. And if you know somebody is against you or people is against you, to me it doesn't make no sense to try and force them to be for you. Okay, Rattlesnake, it had a few years back, the Christian CUM Church of Kalidish invite him, and myself is Poto Catholic. And they come and tell me, well, you know, they have a crusade, so and so come. When I ask them, who is the preacher? When they tell me it's Rattlesnake, I say, oh, you see, right there, you come and look me now, or you want to go for police or me? Because if I go in all your church and I hear that man there preaching, and according to what I hear he say, I will stand up. So before that, I am not going. And Rattlesnake, too deadly. You all can remember when they had a prayer, it was a prayer, and he come on Kyrie and was offering word of prayer and whatever until at the end he and the Prime Minister, they spoke, and then he tell the Prime Minister tell him, well, you know, you can contact me anytime. And he said to the Prime Minister, of course, PM, I have your number. So anytime, you know, I can. You see, Randy Rodney, you must cool out. Because when you see Papa God, my Papa God, will lay his hand upon you, you will wonder what you do in your life. And that hatred and envy, hypocrisy you have against Prime Minister Scary. Let me tell you all something. Scary is not going anywhere anytime soon, because it's not all you that is in control, it's your mighty Father that is in control. Number two, or you did not vote for him, or you did not put him there, it's people as me and Labour Right that put him there. So if we feel we want to take him out, which that will not happen anytime soon.
Meredith, we don't entertain that conversation. That is our internal party business.
Himself, I want public servant, especially if it have labor rights. I want in all you again. And Thomas Later representing all you better take out all yourself from there. Have a wonderful day.
You have a good day as well. And Brain, we respect your principal position. You didn't say you don't come in there because you don't like to see him. You not come in there because of his actions in the past. We extend the invitation, Thomas. Come. Unfortunately, we won't have Brain for that period. That is okay. We respect each other. We can talk about this as men. You, everybody that come, you sit down and smile for them. That's a matter for you. That is a matter for you.
I have had the opportunity to interview Randy Rodney.
Well,
I have had the opportunity to interview Lennox Linton.
Well, you're wrong, right?
Well, and I know I take a professional approach.
No, that's your business. On the overseas line, good morning. Overseas line, good morning. Not ready. On the local line, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Daryl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good day.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Friends,
Well,
okay. The word of God doesn't lie, brethren. The Bible says what's done in what? In darkness
must come to light.
Come to light. So you shouldn't be surprised. They have to come to light. But my concern is I hope that public servants are listening and realizing that they are being led into by a political party that is trying to make it appear that they are in their best interest when they are not. And I hope they listened to the Anupali program last night to see the good things that are coming for public servants, and they should not try to get anybody to derail it, and so on. So there's a lesson there. It has to come. More things have to come to light. Don't worry about that. More things have to come to light. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Paleway.
And I mean, not to sway the discussion, but I saw a video of an Indian man walking freely in the hospital. Do you know Princess and Matanas is on radio saying the thing doctored?
Who doctor?
Anyway, the same person that doctor the one with the anyway. Leave that there. We'll deal with that another time. We'll deal with that another time. But later, come. Yes, we agree with Brain's principal stand. But come there and sit down and answer questions. You will be treated with respect. We will respect you. You're Thomas Leta, the political leader of the what? The General Secretary.
General Secretary.
General Secretary of the PSU. So come. Answer the questions. Tell us about the bill in detail. Show us the clauses that are of concern to you.
Tell us how you were able to misread the whole thing.
No, when he come there, I want to ask him question. Mr. Later, talk to us about the bill, you know? Let's okay? We even put in, so you can prepare before and tell us about the bill. What do you understand by the bill? We put in the questions to you beforehand. Come, prove us wrong. Come and sit there and talk to us. On the overseas line, good morning. On the overseas line, good morning.
Good morning to you, nephew.
Good morning, Auntie. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Good morning.
Everybody's fine. How are you?
Okay. I'm there. The Brain, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, you had a good weekend?
Yes, ma'am. I did.
We did.
All right. Anyhow, I like, me myself, I love the way Brain take his stand. And you too, nephew. Okay, I agree with you all. Okay, because the other day, me myself take a stand in a church, you know. When I go, the pastor invite me to a church. And they hit it on Methodist and Catholic. I stand up and tell the pastor, it is that he study theology, so it is that what he see on the Bible, Methodist and Catholic. And I take my book and I walk out. So, you know, Rodney self is a disgrace to the body of Christ. He is a disgrace to the body of Christ. Nobody don't want to listen to Rodney. I'm not saying don't want to go to Rodney church. Okay? Rodney is not no pastor at all. And I agree with your understand 100%. And anyhow, I'm listening. Fireman, blessed update of strong day to you today.
Oh, today is Fireman's birthday? Or Earth Strong Day, as he calls it. Fireman, have a happy Earth Strong Day, my friend. Have a happy Earth Strong Day. Okay, Auntie, thank you. All right. You know, you came there. You heard. Do you think, gentlemen, do you think Mr. Leta read the bill?
He did.
Okay? And Brennan heard you. Deliberate in his action.
Yeah.
Deliberate in his action. But when he comes, he can
do.
explain. If we are saying something that's wrong, Mr. Leta, come and explain. Come and prove us wrong. Come and tell us.
I take the view, once beaten, twice shy. When you fall in hot water, you're even afraid of cold water. Once beaten, I do not want to be struck a second time.
On the overseas line, good morning.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
On the topic about Thomas Leta and Brian Winston, don't you know it's the power of prayer that have them too much like that?
The sins of the father shall fall on the son.
So that is why he come out and talk about Thomas Leta like that. And it's the power of prayer intervention that happens and make all these things happen.
Amen.
Amen,
Okay?
Sister.
Those toenails of Satan. They spoke down on the 3 days of prayer and fasting. If you didn't want to pray and fast, just go about your business. All you came and talked down against it.
Just stay at your home and say nothing.
But anyway. God not a police. On the overseas line, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Gray,
Yes, ma'am.
I agree to 100%. That CSA representative is no CSA, he's a politician, as well as that pastor. He's not no pastor, he's a politician. Let me tell you something. I am a proud member of the Evangelical Association in the Commonwealth of Dominica, but Mr. is not my head. Mr. can never be my head. Mr. can never be my leader. Because the amount of things I hear Mr. say about the Prime Minister on the radio station, the Bible never tell me to say that. The Bible told me to pray for those in authority, not what Randy Rodney doing and calling himself a pastor. I agree with Mr. Adams, 100%.
Thank you.
All right, you get some fans this morning for your principled approach.
You have to take a stand.
But hear that. People have asked me what that one said. Listen.
Yeah, good afternoon, Matt.
Yes.
My brother.
Uh-huh.
Let's take our time and reason something together because you see.
But we don't have too much time, so we have to reason very shortly. Go ahead.
Quickly, Mr. Later, Matt. Matt, you know my problem I have with Mr. Later and them today, Matt.
What was that?
Mr. Later and them is they're very divisive, Matt.
Why?
Matt, you remember this morning I asked you to ask Mr. Later to call out his people to continue to support the opposition in the parliament, Matt. And he came back excited that people were already coming out to Parliament and so on, Matt. Matt, you remember it was same Mr. Later that called out on the opposition to support them in Parliament because he wasn't sure yet if the Prime Minister was going to withdraw it. After the Prime Minister withdrew, he's like boasting now like as though the Prime Minister had bound to withdraw it and so on. But he was depending on the opposition in Parliament for support. He actually called them out. It's interesting, Matt, to notice as soon as Mr. Later got what he wanted, Matt, he forgot about supporting the other people protesting for the rights or the concerns that they have, Matt. And that is a concern for us because...
But don't you think that the issue that he was concerned about particularly was resolved?
Matt, that is not the case, Matt. That may be so.
That was the case for him.
But Matt, you have... So why then he shouldn't be calling us out to support him when they have their issues, Matt? Let them alone go and do their business, Matt. Because what Mr. Later doing there is divide. Mr. Later couldn't even tell the leader of the opposition, thank you. When you mentioned to Mr. Later that Skerrit was blaming the leader of the opposition, you know what Mr. Later do? He just brush it off as a politician. He could not even condemn Skerrit for lying on the leader of the opposition.
All right, we'll take you out on that.
On the overseas line, good morning.
Good morning, D. How you doing?
I am good, man. How are you?
Good morning.
Guys, good morning. How you doing? Daryl, you have a long wait for Mr. Later to come on your show.
No, the invitation is extended up till Tuesday next week.
Well, my brother, Simeon been waiting for Edison James for 3 years now to come on your show. So stand in line. But Darren, that's a thing with the UWP people, because one time I asked Mr. Later if he was an operative of them, he said no, that's his business, he can't support a party. But what I'm trying to say is the same. Or you remember 3 years ago when they had a letter and Lennox did not read the letter and they had a big hoorah about it?
The terrorist bill.
Yes, because I remember calling him that morning. I said, Mr. Linton, did you read it? He said, no, I had not time to read it. But why are you on the radio station Monday morning talking about it if you haven't read it? So that's what these guys do. They just put in fear in people, and they always want to give their supporters red meat. But Brain, on you not coming
leave Brain alone. The man has taken his stance. You like to come there with your highty-tighty nonsense. The man took his stance. Leave the man alone. Go ahead.
But Darrell, I think these guys have to come and face the panel, face you guys with tough questions. You remember when you had that the president of the Builders Association?
Yes.
What's his name? Your boy.
Mike.
And we had to when we asked your partner, man. Your partner.
Like to look me trouble. Yeah.
But Darryl, you see how we come and we ask him questions when we ask him if Dominica has the biggest construction boom in Dominica history, and he couldn't, he got a wrong our answers. He wasn't really giving us the answers. So I think sometimes we have to come and ask this guy's question. Let them come on the hot seat and ask this guy's question. Anyway, my brothers, I'm listening. Brain, have a blessed day. Jody, take care.
You have a good day, my friend. You have a good day as well. On the overseas line, staying there. Good morning. On the overseas line, not ready for us. On the local line, good morning.
Yes, darling.
Yes, ma'am.
Today is Rivanica's birthday.
That's what I was told, yes.
Okay, well, I want to wish him happy birthday, a blessed day today. May God continue to guide, protect, and guide him. Let him know we love him. He's all about family. Enjoy your day today, Rivanica. Blessed day to you.
He's Earth strong, that's what the man does call this thing. Earth strong. Huh? He's Earth strong, not his birthday. He's Earth strong.
Earth strong.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Earth strong. Rivanica, Earth strong. And let me tell you that, Daryl, according to the mobile man, Thomas later get what he wanted best.
Mary, good morning. 9 o'clock is the morning. Type of the bill. If I read a bill, when the bill comes and I don't understand it, I call and I ask questions. I would know, for example, probably before other people, who is the person presenting the bill. So if I cannot get the answers directly from what you call them, the technocrats, I may go to the mover of the bill and that what have you. I ask questions. Explain this to me.
And Daryl, because of this circle of people that you surround yourself with or you're wrong, it's almost impossible in seeking those answers that you will not get that you will not.
And a bill, a law, is one of the easiest things to get answers about. We have lawyers here, lawyers on both sides, lawyers in the middle. Why didn't he call ALAS to explain the bill to him?
Yes.
Huh? Did he do that? Did he attempt to do that?
Did he call? Of course.
Huh?
Did he call him? No. You could have called him. He's one of them.
You know, you going up in the heights up there by the airport and getting a man to explain bill for you. And when you don't do what the man tell you, the man can't the man, the only thing crackhead didn't do is tell people go and demonstrate up there.
Yes.
That's the only thing he didn't do. But I on the overseas line, good morning.
Good morning, my comrade. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How is everyone doing? Everybody good?
Everybody's fine. How are you, man?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Enjoying the holiday.
Oh, good.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Daryl, yesterday's program was a very fantastic program. I'm very delighted that the financial secretary came on the program to, give us some good insight as to that much disputed legislation, a piece of legislation that was supposed to go before Parliament. And I really respect and appreciate her for coming up and doing so, because you see, a lot of these professionals are constantly under attack. You know, when the opposition leader and his people make their their claims, their unverified claims, most times they cast aspersions on the hardworking public servants, and I was very happy that she came out and explained that thing, right? But Daryl and Brennan Jyoti, we should not be surprised at Thomas Lita, right? I think it is clear that Mr. Lita is a UWP operator, okay? And that letter, that tone of that letter, the tone and the some of the words used in there are very familiar language coming from a particular person. This oppressive bill, oppressive this and oppressive that. It sounded very similar to the writings of a guy we know very well. So these people are not really interested in having any objective discussion. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're not interested in having any objective discussions, Daryl. Right? These people want to play politics every day, and it doesn't matter who's affected. It doesn't matter who stands to lose. That's their modus operandi. Because if Mr. Lita really wanted to learn or get more information about this legislation, he could have asked the relevant people. You understand? But he didn't do that, and it was a combined effort by groups of the opposition, to block the government.
Another failing arm of the opposition.
Yep. To block the government. Everything the government does, they're trying to block it, right? But in the ignorance and in the delusion, they don't realize that they continue to fail over and over again because the people of Dominica are satisfied with this government's performance, right? And the government has the majority support in Dominica and also the Dominicans living overseas, right? And why is that so? Why is that so? Because this government has shown, right, that they are quite competent, they are quite capable, they are hardworking, they have foresight, right? They are organized and disciplined and well and plan, right? They do just come and just do things vai, right? You can see a lot of thought and hard work goes into all these initiatives, right? And the evidence is clear. This government has taken care of public servants. They have. After Hurricane Maria, as the PM referenced yesterday, after Hurricane Maria, public servants got a double bubble when the country was devastated, right? Many other countries would be seeking to cut expenditure, to lay off public servants. This government gives them a double bubble. And even after Maria, after Erica, during COVID, public servants are paid on time. No one has been sent home. We can look across the Caribbean, right? In recent times, what has happened in their countries when they experience financial stress, they cut back on the public service. Countries that were supposed to be doing better than us. It doesn't happen in Dominica because we have a government that cares. We have a leader who cares, who understands that the people, the public servants, they depend on their salary. They depend on the government, right? They have families to take care of. They have bills to pay, right? So even if it is difficult, the government continues to take care of public servants, right? And the person who I think should be the voice of public servants is using them to play politics. A man who has been there, maybe he's been there too long because they always claim the premises there too long, but he's there for for forever, right? And you can tell by the way somebody speaks what their intentions are. This man is always angry. This man has a program on 25. It's supposed to be a public servant program, or whatever he calls it. But it's pure politics that goes on there. Pure anger and venom.
First of all, comrade, if the public service is having a program, the Public Service Union, they should go where? Not on the state-owned radio.
That's right. That's right.
Okay,
That's
good.
Absolutely right.
Anyway.
But I think it's whatever Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day it is.
Whatever day.
But when you exactly, and guess who calls that program? Is it the same people who call Matt every day? Is the blessings and the blues and the workers people? right? And they call it, and they call and they say the same thing they say on Talk on the Block and the morning program and whatever it's called, Hot Seat, and they make the same allegations against the government prime minister. And all this man says, thank you very much, caller. You know, it's not a program.
And when other people call asking him certain questions,
yeah,
he's cut them off.
He gets angry. Absolutely.
All right. I don't want to hear you.
That's right. I've been one of those who
Clarence has suffered that fate as well.
You know.
Mhm.
You know. So there's no professionalism in what this man does. This man has showed his hand. He's a UWP operative, right? That's what he is. That's what his agenda is. To push the Workers' Party's narrative, right? And that's all it is. So we don't expect anything better from Thomas Leader. Okay? Let's not be surprised. Thank you, my brothers, and have a wonderful morning.
Have a good morning, my friend. Have a good morning. Sticking on the overseas line. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Daryl, you know you have a friend saying, if you want to trick a black man, put the money in a book and he will never get it. Thanks for taking my call. Have a nice
You have a nice day as well. On the local line, miss that caller there on the local line. But, you know, again, I don't like to read, but sometimes people have convinced me that I have to read certain things. Listen to this. It was sent on June 28th. That is the day of Parliament. And tell me if that is Thomas Slater or does that sound like somebody else? Sir, and it is addressed to the Honorable Prime Minister. Sir, the Dominica Public Service Union has obtained a copy of a bill titled Fiscal Responsibility, which the government of Dominica intended to sneak into Parliament today, June 28th, 2021, without any prior consultation with public sector representative bodies. Now, let's stick a pin here. I go back to Parliament of June 28th. And I noticed some guys were arguing certain things in the minute. And they kept going on and on and on. You had Melonhead Clarence Palleret acting Malcase for the day. On and on, shouting in the partner. That was a ruse because Thomas and Brian were talking to get public officers to come there. That was a ruse. That prolonged thing, talking about suspending Parliament, come back in half an hour, that was a strategy because those guys were trying to mobilize. That was what was going on there. Listen. In browsing, not reading, browsing that particular draconian and dictatorial draft legislation, the union is convinced that if passed, it will impoverish public officers and will deny public sector unions and public sector workers their rights to collective bargaining for the next 13 years. While the Public Service Act 1991 provides for negotiation every 3 years, this piece of legislation will deny public sector unions the ability to negotiate fairly and in context. Any responsible, honest, and sensitive government in a democratic society will consult with all stakeholders on legislation which will impact people's livelihoods. In light of the foregoing, the Dominica Public Service Union advises that the government withdraws the readings of the bill. That is Thomas Slater. Who does that sound like to you? Huh? Is that Thomas Slater? Huh? Thomas Slater speaks in those ways? I mean, I know he does say some very strange things, but does he speak in those ways? Within minutes, Clarence was able to come here and explain in detail about the bill. You read the bill, right, Clarence?
Yes, I did.
Okay. But the letter says it, it's not me that say it. The letter says it. They browse through the bill. You browse through the bill?
Yes,
you didn't read the bill. You browse through the bill.
Yeah, good morning to the listeners. Good morning. I think the FS clearly, I listened to the FS and I listened to her again this morning. I think the FS clearly outlined what is in the bill, which is what I came here the Monday morning and explained the very same thing because it is simple. Probably the only thing, okay, I mean, nowadays you can't take things, government can't take things for granted because there are several people against the government and anything they will twist it and then they will try to create mayhem and things so. But there was a simple bill. As the FS said, the very same bill, it's like a harmonious bill within the members of the ECCU union, that the moving this bill like it is already passed in Grenada and is already passed in St. Vincent. I did right. I knew it was already passed.
I think it's St. Vincent and St. Kitts.
St. Vincent
and St. Kitts, I believe.
And St. Kitts,
or St. Vincent and Grenada. I've passed them already.
I've passed them. So it is a harmonious bill by the ECCB to set your debt ratio to 60% of GDP. And initially, it was for up to 2030, but they now, because of COVID and things, so it is now extended to 2035. Now, Dominica was already on its way because all these things here that is being in the bill now has been being put in place in Dominica. Dominica was already well on its way in having its debt to GDP ratio at 60%. Because prior to COVID, or prior to Maria, the debt was 72%. The debt to GDP ratio was 72%. What the government was doing is using CBI funds and pay all its more expensive debt, like the 140.
Yes.
Like the $140 million loan bonds issue of the UWP at an effective interest rate of 14%. So the government was using the CBI funds to bring down those debt. So you bring down your expensive debt, and then you can pick up debt like the debt from OPEC is OPEC at 0%, World Bank at 1.5% debt,
half
with percent debt with 50 years to pay, 40 years to pay. These are the debt you want to have on your books because it doesn't put a strain on your finances.
10 years moratorium
right?
and 40 years to pay back, yeah?
When you have debt that you have to pay $12.5 million interest in 1 year, right? This is expensive debt. You want to get rid of those debts. These are the debts you want to get rid of. So this is what the government was doing prior to Maria, right? Bring down the debt. So your debt at the time was about 72%, coming from 135% from UWP era, right? Coming from 135%. So they decide to have this type of responsibility fiscal policies. But I have read the bill over and over. I read the bill over and over and again. I say, no, it doesn't, the bill doesn't say what they're saying. But if when the time that bill, when the bill came out, the very first time I saw that 2% of salary thing was by a Roger Bruni, who is in the US, who posted it on their group, Dominica Politics, saying that the government is going to cap salaries at 2%. At 2%. But I cannot comment because I see what it, but I cannot comment on what they say, so that I would have commented and said that no, we are in the bill said so. So I thought that was, but I see they started commenting on it and things so and so on. But I read the bill again. I'm not seeing anything because I'm not seeing that. But all I'm seeing is that they're saying the government is capping the growth in expenditure to 2% of GDP. Not capping salaries, but capping the growth
of total recurrent expenditure to 2% of GDP. So what you have to ask yourself is, what is 2%? What is our GDP? First thing you have to find out, what is our GDP? Right? Our GDP at market prices right now, I think it's market prices or factor, I think it's market prices, is about 1.5, I'm not going to go into technicality of it, is $1,500,000,000. 1.5 billion. Just about that. Round it up to 1.5 billion.
My man think is money. We have sit down there. We don't use
no,
it.
No, that is
the man I think go and take the foreign reason while you have it in the ECCB. You know? So be careful.
That is the country's GDP.
Gross
domestic product.
Product.
That is that's the gross domestic product only at 1.5, about that $1.5 billion.
582.4 million USD. And that is as of 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Well, that's 2019, but 2020. Okay. We are 2% of that would be about 30 million. The government expenditure has been in the region of $600 million. Total expenditure. So what is it saying?
Recurrent
expenditure.
Recurrent
expenditure. Total recurrent expenditure would be about 600 million. So what the government is saying, look, we can only increase our expenditure to $630 million, in 600 by 30 million incrementally, right? Basically, there is no way within $30 million you cannot negotiate a 15% salary increase.
Yes.
Because the total wage bill, that is total wage bill of the country, is about $140 million per year. If you give a 10% salary increase, that's 14 million.
Yes.
If you give a 15% increase, that is 21 million. Okay? So there is no way, and that it will still be below the 30 million of 2% of GDP. It would still be below. So there is no way. So I'm saying, what is it? I came here on Monday and we explained
that.
What is it those guys talking about? Capping
salaries
or legislating salaries. There is nothing about legislating salaries. Salaries is only a part
of the debt.
Salaries is only a component of recurrent expenditure. But you're not capping salaries. You put in a cap on total. And last night, the FS said, I didn't even know that during last year they have dropped recurrent expenditure by 15%.
15%, yeah.
15%. Yet still, although recurrent expenditure dropped by 15% because of COVID, they dropped it, they cut off certain things, you were still able to increase salaries by 1.25 or 1.5, whatever the percentage is.
1.5%.
So salaries has not been touched at all, except for an increase. Although total recurrent expenditure has dropped by 15%.
There has been increases in salary.
There has been increases
in salary. There has been double bubble paid.
Yeah.
Okay? There has been what they call it? The reclassification exercise going on.
Yes.
Teachers alone will increase the wage bill by $1 million. Teachers alone.
Yes.
The nurses will lead to that as well. Okay?
Yes.
So the thing where salaries will be capped
is a joke.
Is a total fabrication.
False.
Okay? And the union leader,
he knows that.
And the leader of the opposition, they have a propensity to mislead and misinform the public. It's just say things that come to mind they think will score points and they think will destabilize. People will come out, people will protest, boots on the ground. That is all they are concerned about.
And you're right.
Okay, I am saying, and I saw the same or even a thing letter written by the Police Welfare Association. Let me tell you something. Not that I want to think, but the Police Welfare Association leader, he doesn't understand. I don't think he would understand this economic term, this financial term. Right? So,
Excuse him, man.
So I excuse him.
You know,
yeah, I excuse him. I excuse him.
Yes.
He's misled.
He's misled.
He says thing, you take it thing, I excuse him. He's not an economist. What is if you understand what is GDP? So
well, let us not say that. Let us not say that.
So
Okay.
I excuse him. But Thomas Letter is an educated person.
But one thing with this, what my former colleagues have not put their necks on the block, the Dominica Teachers Association.
The Teachers Association
did not join them.
In my opinion, always acts responsibly.
Responsibly.
They do not negotiate in public. They tell you we are ongoing negotiations, and until the thing is finished, you do not. Most times you do not know what they ask for.
Yes.
They just report on what they get, what they agreed upon. Yeah. Always. Some
Very
people who negotiate responsibly. Okay. I don't think they have any axe to grind. They don't have any agenda other than representing their teachers. Okay,
but Luke Lawrence have the thing in his hand,
folks,
and he's speaking.
Grenada passed their Fiscal Responsibility Act since 2015.
Wow,
they have amended it twice. Okay, since 2015, Grenada has passed this, and this is legislation that is suggested by the currency union, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. This is harmonized legislation across all member states. The reason 2045 is put in the bill is to allow not just for Dominica, but to allow other countries. There are external factors that may cause them to have to take certain loans. Some countries within 15 days, they were telling people take a 60% cut in salary. Within 15 days of COVID-19 shutdown, people were being told to take a 60% cut in salary. Some countries suspended social programs, short-term employment programs and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Other countries suspended other social activities. We in Dominica increased our social spending. We increased outreach to people, the vulnerable. People were not sent home. The NEP continued to function. So when guys come and talk about, this is what going to be against and put them in disadvantaged position. Partner, if you don't understand something, go and ask questions. Call the cabinet secretary. This lady is brilliant. She was a teacher. She will sit you down and explain the thing to you in layman's terms that you will understand. And if need be, she will help you to explain it further to your other members.
Well, I find, Darrell, you're using fine English. The man he understood. I believe that he was on a crusade to mislead the nation. Thomas has been on that crusade for a very long time. And he a man with an MBA. Because if you're doing your MBA, you go to Barbados, you must have done certain courses in financing, in accounting. I cannot understand how you have this document before you and your other colleagues who may have gone on the course with you. You cannot bounce it off them. Look, you have your cousin there. Your relative is right here. Clarence is a relative of yours. Or you come out from the same area down there. Why you couldn't call him and ask him to explain certain things you did not understand? And you have your other colleague out there in Marigot making noise with you when you did not respond to the plan, to the plot. It was a plot.
And then the police welfare, one thing, Clarence. You saw the both letters, Clarence?
The
same person wrote the letter. The same person wrote the letter.
I think basically the General Secretary of the Union allowed himself to be misled.
Thank you very much.
The political leader of the DPSU.
Well, I'm not going to.
You like to come there and wash your hands. But he is the political leader of the DPSU because he leads from politics. He doesn't lead from representation. He leads from political action. That is the only way. Brian Linton could have come out and make this kind of statements.
Yes.
It wasn't he invites the leaders, the political leaders of the UWP to come to his meetings. He invites them to come.
And they're sitting.
And they sit there. When they read in their citations, we want to recognize so and so. That happens there. So don't come there. When we call him, you may not want to call him that yourself, but don't come there doing like we're doing something bad. The man is the political leader of the Dominica Public Service Union, the union arm of the United Workers' Party.
That's what it is.
And the entire union may not adhere to his beliefs and his thinking, but that is what he has turned the union into.
Yes.
A political arm of the United Workers' Party. And Mr. Moses will get vexed with me. What they call it? The wicked party? What the U stands for?
Useless.
The useless wicked party. That is what he is. We missed that call on the local line there. Please call back.
So Daryl, I mean, all I'm saying, I will think so, that he allowed himself to be misled. Somebody brought the thing up to him. Probably he didn't have a copy of the bill, and things so prior to his passage. And somebody brought this up to him, and he allowed himself
to be used
and to be misled. That is all I will say about this. But I know Thomas is a very bright person. I mean, we grew up together. We went to school together. We think he's a bright person.
Clarence, I have great respect for you, Plaid. But you and Brain sit down there calling him an all kind of intelligent and all kind of bright and all kind of thing. That's good. I'm not going to. Mais si yo pa fou, yo me chaste.
Me chaste.
Si yo pa fou, yo me chaste. On the local line, good morning.
Daryl, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Senior Minister.
Hey, good morning, Senior Minister.
Good morning, my brother. What's happening? But Brain, I saw you in a bad mood this morning.
Very bad mood, man.
You're your boss, Daryl.
The man strike on me.
My friend fired for that. What's happening, guys? I trust you guys had a good weekend.
Yes, I did have a good weekend. Everything okay? I trust your constituency is safe following Elsa.
Yeah, man. You know, so we're resilient up there. We have some very active disaster management groups in Capuchin, in Clifton, in Cottage, in Savantine. You know, so we're well serviced by our disaster committees. Everything went well, except just unfortunately I lost one of my soldiers in Lagon this weekend, Mr. Harold Debon.
Oh, I know Mr. Debon.
Right there, I'm out there on the flat there, you know, a true soldier, a true warrior, the Dominican Labour Party, even in death, you know, and I want to express his condolences to his family, his wife, his children, and to the Lago community, because they've lost a giant, they lost a stalwart. But I guess that's one debt that we all have to pay. We can't run away from it. When it comes, we have to respond. And so he responded to his maker, and I wish him all the best on his journey.
Amen. May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah, and for all those who suffered anguish and pain during the last week and the weekend, I want to share with them in their trials, and I hope that God will see them through in the quickest possible time. Daryl, I've been following the discussion this morning. I heard Donnie, and I find Donnie was brilliant, and I think all your callers are in fact alluding to that. And I hear you guys talking about Thomas Later being misled and he didn't read the thing properly. Thomas Later does not have to read anything about the government for him to cause a problem. You need to understand this, and you've said this before, that Thomas Later is part of the United Workers' Party's architecture, political architecture. And the aim of the United Workers' Party political architecture is to throw this country into disarray, into confusion, to have men on the street. They're not even sure what is it that they want to demonstrations for, and to send a very bad image of the country overseas, particularly to our friendly people who support us. You know the number of instances when the United Workers' Party have gone to the world. Leonard Clinton on the 17th of January went to see how Dominica was selling passports to all crooks and criminals, only to find that he is the only person where we have evidence of attempting to sell passports to who he doesn't even know who these people are, selling them for a third party, and he does not even know who the third party is negotiating with. The only evidence we have of selling diplomatic passports in this country is the evidence of Lennox as declared and determined by the Al Jazeera news clip. You remember that?
Yes.
They have gone Daryl to Colorado to back up the government. They have written letters to the World Bank asking the World Bank to stop the support for farmers and to stop the housing program. They have written to Venezuela, to China, saying that scared wasting their money, so stop sending money to Dominica. Even when we were going for a worst period in history, following the passage of Hurricane Maria, this guy stood up and took their time and wrote letters asking the international community stop sending support to Dominica because Roosevelt Skerritt is not utilizing this support properly. The people came, they did the investigations, and they continue to receive. So I don't know what was the findings, but they have never stopped looking out. And in fact, we have now the best relationship, the most cordial relationship, special relationship with the EU, with the World Bank, with the CDB. I mean, people asking the government, don't you want more money? We have money there, come for money, Skerritt. We have money because you're using our money well. We're satisfied with what you do with our money. We satisfy the people up. In fact, even the CBI program. We have a number of countries in the Caribbean who are looking at our program as a model and saying that they agree that the results from the CBI program, the revenues generated through the CBI program is being well used in Dominica, and they wish that their government would utilize their CBI fund in the same way. Now, that is the motive of the United Workers' Party and its architectures. That is what they want to do. So that Thomas Leighton saw an opportunity, the United Workers' Party saw an opportunity to cause problem in the country, to bring people out, to storm the parliament. Thomas Leighton called his soldiers out to storm the parliament. Darren, if you listen to this Thomas Leighton program, this is probably, apart from the Heng and all this UW program, this is probably the program that is most critical of the government and I have heard them.
But no, Heng not critical of government. Don't say that.
The Q95 people, sorry, my brother. The Q95
right?
people. They've criticized the United Work, the Thomas Leighton has criticized the housing program. He and Steve Joseph, my partner, who tried to run against me 4 times, and he can't get off the block. They criticize even our names being on deaf announcements that they criticize.
Yes.
Criticizing dead people to get at the government. They're criticizing families who, after this government, have assisted them to lay their dead to rest in peace. And you know, it's not easy anymore. I really remember the days when your people, there was no cold storage facility, so you had to bury your people 2 days after they died. Now we have cold storage facilities. People incurring expenditure, rightly or wrongly. But when we assist these people, they're criticizing the families of these people. They're criticizing these dead people who tell their families, when I die, I want to put Roosevelt Skerritt name and my parrot name on my death announcement. And they're critical of that. That is the extent to which this program, they criticize the NEP. Every single program that this government has put in place has been criticized on that program. I'm asking why they go on DBS. They cannot go on other radio station because that's a political program. Doing the political bidding of Thomas Leighton and the leadership of the union. And it's sad to see how a union leader would use public officers to use people that are under his care and under his charge to further his political nest. And I want to say to you that many public officers are saying red, and that's why they always are crying, oh, people don't support the union, and you must support the union. People will not support the union because the union is not behaving as a union. The union is behaving as a political arm of the United Workers' Party. That is what it is. That is what it is. And so, to say he was misled and he didn't have time, no, it was a deliberate attempt by Thomas Leighton and the leadership of the trade union, the PSU, to get their supporters out. And Burlington told you played the clip, where Burlington invited him to give them support to storm the Parliament building. Am I correct, David?
That's yes. Right.
You played the tape.
Yes.
Where Burlington is putting fire on Leighton now because Leighton turned turtle on them. But Leighton did not turn turtle on them. It was the wisdom of Roosevelt Skerritt. It was the vision of Roosevelt Skerritt. See, what this guy is trying to do, Daryl, is to create a situation in the country as they have done before. They would go in disguise in a little cover in the darkness. They would take pictures and they would send to their handlers and they would send to the international community. And they talk about human rights abuse and excessive force by the police and human rights abuse and freedom of gathering and freedom of expression and the government. People come down a little peaceful demonstration and the government send the police and the police give us tear gas to create an international stir to bring the eyes of the world to bear on Dominica in an effort to continue to stop the assistance and progress that this country is making. They failed electoral reform, and you hear the amount of blows Mackenzie got by just saying that he was prepared to listen to Dennis Byron. They almost massacred him on Q95. So they failed on the international airport. Remember, they had this call that people must join me.
Yes,
Come with me. Come with me, please. Let's demonstrate that we don't want no airport. Huh? That failed, my brother. Nobody showed up. Not even the parliamentarians on the opposition side, except Daniel Oge, who showed up for a short while. Lennox himself showed up, and he stood on a tree dressed all in white on the tree, like a Hindu, on the tree on the other side of the river. No ship, nobody showed up to that. So they have been rejected on that front. But they have to continue doing it, because that is their modus operandi. That is instructions they have from their handlers, that you need to consistently agitate and call for civil disobedience in the country. At some point, the police get fed up. One young officer who cannot take that stress, gun butter person and so on, and they start taking pictures and the hospital and blah, 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 blah. You hearing me?
Yes.
So Roosevelt Scarritt is the winner, is the hero of this thing. Because what they wanted to do was to come to the Parliament building and to try to storm the Parliament building and to provoke the police and to cause problem in the country, that they can take their pictures and their videos and they can send to their handlers, who will send now to the international community and talk about human rights and police abuse in Dominica. And as a result, even not stop it, but would slow down our progress. And that is where Roosevelt outmaneuvered them by just withdrawing the bill. By just withdrawing the bill to the Parliament. Because there are other roads that can be taken with that bill. We didn't have to. We're just trying to be transparent as we can take it to the Parliament. And so that plan of that failed this time. That is why Brian is so upset. Because we're hoping that with the public officers shutting down the country and joining the thing would be a beginning of what they've been hoping for the last 10, 15 years. And so we have our agenda as a government. We know where we want to take the country. We know the time in which we want to take the country there. We have this project that will bring tremendous relief and tremendous economic activity to the country. We're not going to let Thomas Later and a few, and the leadership of the United of the trade union and a few misguided public officers to derail our plans. Because I can say to you, Daryl, that the majority of Dominicans, public officers, are satisfied with support that they have gotten from this government. Not only directly, but indirectly. Because many of the homes, the housing revolutions we're doing, many public officers have their families, even not they themselves, but their families, their relatives, their parents are benefiting from it, which is much more than a 3% or 5% increase in their salary, which they would have to meet the Yes to Care program. There are many public officers who would have had to spend their own money and pay people and so on. The government is not doing it and so on. And over the 300,000, that's an issue for a public officer who have his 70-year-old mother and his 70-year-old father there to support. The government is giving them $600, which is much more than 5% in their salary. So the majority of public officers are happy and satisfied with this government, and they would turn out. They would not have turned out for this on-time, unjustified, ill-timed, ill-advised match on the Capitol building. You hear me? So it's Roosevelt Scarritt who took the high ground. Withdraw the bill. Let the country rule, my brother. We have work to do. We cannot be distracted, and will not be allowed to be distracted by men with their own personal agenda, their own failures. That they're now trying to blame the government for their own personal failures and trying to disrupt it. But God is not asleep. God sees and knows everything. And he knows when a case is a genuine case when a case is a malicious case. In that instant, it was a malicious case and it failed. And every other malicious case that will be brought against this government will also fail, because God will not allow anybody to interfere in the works for his people, to bring a better life for his people. It will not happen. And so, divine intervention, the wisdom of Spirit, we save the day and will continue to save the day as long as we know that our intentions are clear, we are on a mission, and God is guiding us along that path. That's just a short contribution I want to make, Daryl. Sorry for taking up some of your time, but I have to make that point. Thank you very much, my brother. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Senior Minister Honorable Reginald Austrie, the parliamentary representative for the Cottage constituency, just making a brief intervention here this morning. Look, the bill was withdrawn, but this is not a bill that is going to be put in a drawer and forgotten about. This bill is important to our national development, and seeking to mislead, seeking to destabilize the country because you did not understand, you did not read, deliberately or otherwise, and sought to create anarchy and chaos in this and try to blame it on this legislation, that will not succeed. That will not succeed.
That is just another tool, Daryl, that they use to see if they could circumvent the runnings of government. But as we rightly said, it's not going well. It has not been allowed to succeed. So they will try again, and it's their usual tactics. Every opportunity they get to try and see how they can destabilize and get people to come out and be disobedient, create civil disobedience in the country. But I mean, the government is not allowing them, as you heard it from the senior minister. There is work to be done, and you cannot allow those things to happen.
Daryl, let me just read it from the bill.
Yes.
Section 8(1). It says the minister shall take appropriate measures to ensure that the ratio of public debt to GDP is reduced to 60% by 2045 and does not exceed that level thereafter. And then, at another section I want to read, it says that the minister, so this section 9(1), Section 9(1), the minister shall take appropriate measures to ensure that A, growth in recurrent expenditure is consistent with debt and fiscal balance objectives under Section 8. So, it means therefore, whatever your expenditure, the growth, it didn't say expenditure, it said growth in expenditure. That means if your expenditure is $600 million today, any growth in this must be inconsistent with Section 1. Okay? So basically that is what it is saying. So, and then it went on to say that and a number of things basically saying that your growth in expenditure, your growth in total expenditure, including salaries and wages, your total growth in recurrent expenditure shall be capped at 2% of GDP, at 2% of GDP, of your gross domestic product. So that you can have a primary balance of 2.5% of GDP. What is the primary balance? It's like if you have a shop, your revenues, or in your home, your revenues and your expenditure. So your expenditure is $100. Your expenditure is $85. So your revenue is more. So you have a primary balance of $15. That $15 you can save 10, you can save it, you can do whatever you want, you can pay the shop assistant, you have an extra $5, and the other 10 you save it. But nowhere in there saying that mention you're going to cap salaries or legislate salaries.
Revenue Not revenue, sorry. Expenditure is not only salaries.
Expenditure is not
It's
only salaries.
salaries. You have to look at things even like servicing vehicles.
Vehicles.
You know, even like lights.
Yeah,
Telephone
everything.
services.
All of
okay?
those.
All those things. Cleaning and maintenance of government departments, offices. Purchasing of paper. This is recurrent expenditure.
Purchasing toiletries.
One of the things I know as a head of department, I've been asked to limit the use of paper and printing and that sort of thing. And we have had to implement measures where certain things you communicate through email and not everything has to be printed. Or a letter or 3 copies have to be sent. This is recurrent expenditure. The other thing I know the government has done in recent time is change the light bulbs
to LED.
LED light bulbs in all departments.
To ensure that you
Yes.
minimize on your light consumption.
These are some of the things that have been done. Okay? On the overseas line, good morning.
Good morning, Teacher Clara. That's excellent stuff.
Good morning.
I wanted you, for those persons who are listening, it's just media's work. I know GDP is gross domestic product, but help us understand what goes into GDP.
Okay, for a simple economic student, the formula is C plus I plus G. That is consumption in the country. That is GDP at, we would say, I'm talking from the top of my head, GDP at
Personal
market price.
consumption.
Personal consumption.
I remember, man.
Right? Investment from the private sector.
Yes.
And government spending.
That is correct.
And then for advanced people, you say X minus M, that is export minus imports
Yes,
and
net
so on.
export.
Net exports,
Net
net
exports,
exports,
yes.
right?
Mhm.
So that competes. So all this is part of is your GDP. Basically putting it from the top of my head, any economic student don't tell me anything, but I'm just talking, right? That is what your GDP is. And you can compute GDP at factor prices or market prices. Normally, GDP is computed at market prices.
So how does the farmer, let us say, the agriculture person, contribute to GDP?
Okay, when the farmer produce, and what the farmer produce, he sells. Right? He sells his produce. So that what he sells is part of is computed to GDP. When the farmer take that money and he goes to the supermarket and he consumes, that is also part of GDP.
His personal consumption, what he buys at the supermarket. His business investment, he sells his stuff, and more than likely a lot of farmers contribute to exports. Okay, a lot of farmers, they contribute to exports. So he has an all-round multiple effect on GDP.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Stein. There,
So GDP is the total goods and services produced or consumed in a particular country. Goods and services, and that is mainly your personal consumption.
Yes.
Business investment, private sector investment, and
government
spending, and net exports.
Yes.
That is from part of your that is how your GDP is calculated.
Okay.
So then you get a total figure, and in the case of Dominica, it is now about $1.5 billion.
Easy.
$1.5 billion. It's wrong did. And then in government, anytime you say you're going to take a measure, a finance measure, it is in ratio to GDP. So if you're going to increase salaries, for example, our salaries has always hovered around between 8.5 and 9.5% of GDP. Right? That's our salaries. Government salaries has always been around between 8.5 and 9.5% of GDP. And the FS explained that very clearly, I think, because it is available. Okay? So like education. So when you hear people saying because Ross we lost 30%, that is not because education itself never contributed 30% of GDP. Education contributes 6% to our GDP.
Yes.
And Ross University was part of that. Okay? So, yes, we had a significant loss in Ross because of things, but 6% is a lot of, when you compare that in GDP, is a lot.
On the overseas line, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. What a great show indeed this morning. That's the best program. Yeah, I want to shout out my brother. Today is his birthday, the fireman, the River Nika. Happy birthday to you, brother. So I want to shout him up. Today is his birthday, okay? Happy birthday, fireman, and many more to come. And gentlemen, good program. And Mr. Street blows on them. God bless you guys, Dominica. Love you guys. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes.
So that is why I am appalled. I cannot understand how a 2% growth of recurrent expenditure can be equated to a 2% cap on salaries. I am yet to understand. I mean, somebody has to
I don't know why,
but I am yet to understand
probably
this.
Want to believe that this is something new to us. It is the modus operandi of the United Workers' Party and its operatives, simply put. And these guys will do anything to destabilize the country. That was another move. End of story.
On the local line, good morning.
Good morning, Daryl.
Good morning.
Let me tell you, man, good program.
Thank you.
And let me tell you, Rattlesnake and them, man, there is nothing like they understand it. They understand it very good. They know what's happening, and they know it is. But destabilization, they want to create in the country. And I'm telling you straight, no matter what, I agree with 100%. No sitting in them kind of people there. Because they understand it. Only thing they have is some people have them foolish, and they keep having the people foolish. Thank you very much, and keep going in the program, lads. My Prime Minister, no face, stay away from them kind of people there. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much.
I will not for once want to believe that there was no understanding of it. I think Thomas Slater and his operatives understand very well. It's a question of another tactics used to destabilize government's operations.
On the local line, final call, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I just wish to say that, when we have to think of the way that Thomas Slater negotiation, using it as a political tool, I have to look at him in 1996 when the UW was in office, and the Teachers Association had a point where the government had agreed to pay them, and he never supported them. You understand? And I, as you know, I was on the Police Association for 7 years, and every time Thomas Later is negotiating with the government. I find he was negotiating the way to market the Public Service Association to show that they are so powerful they can run the government how they want. When they had to do the furlough in I think it was around 2000, he was against it, and that's why I admire Celia Nicholas. She was a person, when she went to the negotiating table, you could see that she was negotiating on behalf of teachers, not behalf on herself, to project herself as the best negotiator. She always had the concern of the teachers. I find later see him in a position where he can use it to control and campaign on behalf of the opposition. So, and one last thing I want to remind us, when the government had offered the furlough, he took the public servants to the Public Service Association for 6 days, and they did not go to work. You remember Chancellor was the Minister for the Public Service, and he made them lose their salary. He also made them lose their salary when they take the government to court or they go and strike down. So he never really take his time and research properly, or even if he research properly, he will always look at strategically how he can make the government he doesn't support it bad. And that's what I find about him. Okay?
All right then. Okay. Thank you very much for that this morning.
Daryl, I come here to support my party, my government.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lesson to be learned. And if I am doing something supporting you, and I think there is a lesson to be learned from all of this. I think the government has started very good in that I think the Prime Minister said all bills, before they go to Parliament, they should be placed on the government website for people to think so. I think in this case, this did not happen. I think I cannot, because I went to think I didn't think so. I think we, no matter what, we have to follow that rule because we cannot take things for granted because the opposition is out to destroy anything they will mislead, and there are certain persons in the opposition and their arms that will take things and twist it to their benefit to create mayhem in this country. So we have to be on our guard against this. And I want to compliment the Prime Minister for withdrawing the bill. This very same bill, if it goes to Parliament tomorrow and passed, I think it's based on the explanation given last night by the FS and the explanation that I have given, a number of persons, including public officers, say now they understand what is happening. I think there is nothing else that they can say. It is not a matter the government is going to legislate salaries, that is far from the cry, and it is not a matter of capping salaries at 2%. 2% of 2% of GDP is a certain figure, and within that figure, the public service the public service union can negotiate successfully if they can up to 10, 15% or even 20% salary increase.
Indeed. All right.
Indeed, okay.
All right. Tomorrow we will deal with other topics of national importance and interest as well. Until then, we'll be back tomorrow with another Heng. Do have a very good morning.
Appointed unto man wants to die. The exceptions, like Lazarus, God gave them a bite. Every journey on this earth must come to an end. How it winds up for its soul, now that will depend upon what direction that we take and the contribution that we make. And if we choose a life of deceit and decay, we will answer to the Master when he calls us on Judgment Day. So when I'm gone,